It was 3 in the morning when this high-pitched, raspy noise started outside my window. It wouldn't stop, and even my cats were growling and acting scared. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is the call of a red fox. Foxes possess a wide vocal range, but their most startling sound is the vixen's scream, which is typically heard during the winter breeding season. This loud, piercing shriek is used by females to attract male suitors across long distances, or by males to assert territorial dominance against rivals. While the noise sounds incredibly alarming to human ears, it is simply standard mammalian communication. I spotted this unusual animal at an elevation of 8,400 feet in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado, just outside the national park. It has thick fur, a bushy tail, and looks slightly larger than a squirrel. Does anyone know what it is? This animal is known as a pine marten. Also referred to as the American marten, it is a shy, agile member of the weasel family that thrives in high-elevation coniferous forests. They use their semi-retractable claws to quickly climb trees and hunt for small rodents, birds, and insects. Despite their cute appearance, they are fierce predators, perfectly adapted to harsh winter environments, utilizing their dense fur and large, fur-covered paws to efficiently navigate through deep mountain snow. I found this heavy metal object while going through my late dad's things. It feels like solid quality, and I originally thought it might be an add-on for his car's bike rack, something for his caravan, or even a piece of a treadmill. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is the top portion of a bicycle repair stand. Specifically, it looks like a model made by brands like Viver, though it is currently missing its bottom tripod base. To use it, a mechanic clamps the bicycle's seat post or top tube into the adjustable vise, lifting the bike off the ground to allow the wheels and pedals to spin freely. The attached plastic tray is designed to hold loose parts, wrenches, and chemicals like chain lube while you work. I found hundreds of these scattered everywhere at the waterline on a beach in Southern California. At first, I thought a boatload of plastic candy wrappers had washed ashore, but they appear to be biological, and a few of them were puffy with blue goo inside. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a Velella, commonly known as the by-the-wind sailor. While they look like jellyfish, they are actually a hydroid polyp colony that floats on the surface of the open ocean. Each individual organism features a distinctive, rigid, clear sail made of chitin that catches the wind to propel it across the water, while stinging tentacles trail below to catch plankton. Because they are completely at the mercy of the prevailing winds, strong onshore breezes frequently cause them to wash up on Pacific coast beaches by the thousands, where they quickly dry out and lose their vibrant blue pigmentation. I was prepping my flower bed for the season when I unearthed this little creature. It was buried in the loose soil and looks almost like a dormant insect. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a ground nesting bee. Unlike honeybees that build large hives, about 70% of all bee species nest underground. Female ground bees dig solitary burrows in bare or sparsely vegetated soil to lay their eggs. They pack the tunnels with pollen and nectar for their young to consume as they develop. They are incredibly important pollinators and are generally non-aggressive, so it is best to simply cover them back up and let them be. I live in Minnesota and often see deer, turkeys, and small animals in my yard. But I woke up this morning to find these strange, volcano-shaped mounds of dirt completely tearing up my grass. This has never happened before, and there are no footprints around the dirt piles. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a molehill. The online joke of an animal popping out of the dirt saying bonjour refers to exactly this kind of yard damage. Moles are subterranean insectivores that dig complex networks of tunnels to hunt for earthworms and grubs. The mounds you see on the surface are actually the excavated soil pushed up from their deeper runway tunnels. A single mole can dig up to 15 feet of tunnel per hour using its specialized paddle-like front claws. While they can quickly ruin a manicured lawn, their digging provides excellent natural soil aeration. I found this small, white, rectangular packet lying on the floor under my bed. It looks like a miniature tea bag, but it has no string or tag attached to it. Does anyone know what it is? It's a Zyn pouch, which is a popular brand of smokeless, tobacco-free nicotine pouches. Originally launched in Sweden in 2014 by the company Swedish Match, these small packets contain nicotine salt, food-grade flavorings, and plant-based fibers. A user places the pouch between their upper lip and gum. Moisture from the mouth dissolves the contents, allowing the nicotine to absorb directly through the oral mucous membranes into the bloodstream. They have become highly prevalent in recent years as a discreet alternative to traditional chewing tobacco or vaping. I went for a walk in a nearby wooded area and stumbled across this strange stone pillar. I have no idea what the carved shape on top represents. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a Victorian pointing hand headstone. During the 1800s and early 1900s, carved hands were incredibly popular motifs on grave markers. A hand pointing upward typically symbolized the soul's ascent to heaven. Finding one isolated in a wooded area usually indicates the presence of a forgotten family cemetery or reclaimed churchyard. Over time, the surrounding forest simply grew up around the stone, leaving these markers hidden among the trees. I found this weird blue blob mixed into my bowl of Whole Foods cereal. It feels solid and seems like it is made out of a heavy plastic or rubber material. Does anyone know what it is? This object is a broken piece of factory production equipment. In the food manufacturing industry, machine parts like conveyor belts, scrapers, and gaskets are intentionally manufactured in a bright, unnatural blue color. Since there are almost no naturally bright blue foods, this color contrast ensures that if a piece of machinery breaks off and falls into the product line, factory workers or optical sorting machines can easily spot it before it gets packaged. I found my cat playing with this little guy in our yard on the East Coast. It shakes its little tail just like a rattlesnake, but it does not have a rattle. I thought it might be a corn snake, but it is not quite as red as the ones I have seen before. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a juvenile black rat snake, likely around 2 to 3 years old. The tail-shaking behavior you noticed is a common defensive mechanism used by many non-venomous snakes. They vibrate their tails rapidly against dry leaves to mimic a rattlesnake and scare off predators. As they mature, these snakes lose this heavily patterned skin and turn almost completely black. They are excellent climbers, constrictors, and highly beneficial for controlling local rodent populations without posing a threat to humans. I found this black box hidden under the back seat of a 2003 Lexus LS430 that I just purchased. It is a flat plastic module with a metal base and a thick wire running out of it. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a mobile antenna system, specifically designed for use at frequencies in and above 800 megahertz. According to United States patent records, modules like this were often installed in early 2000s luxury vehicles to boost cellular phone signals or support early telematics systems. The flat, directional design allowed it to be mounted discreetly under seats or behind plastic panels. Since cellular networks have moved far beyond the 800 MHz band used by older analog and early digital systems, this specific antenna is now obsolete. I found this plastic object in my mom's kitchen drawer here in Australia. It has holes in the bottom and a raised center, but none of us have any idea what it is used for. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a funnel strainer. It is a removable insert designed to rest inside the neck of a standard kitchen funnel. When a person pours liquids like cooking oil, hot stock, or freshly pressed juices into a bottle, the perforated base catches any solid food particles or seeds. This allows only the clear liquid to pass through, making it a highly practical tool for home canning, infusing oils, and food preservation. What is this bizarre-looking hairbrush? I know it is meant to be used on hair, but it has a very weird, flexible design with widely spaced bristles. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a specialized detangling brush. Traditional hairbrushes use stiff, densely packed bristles that forcefully pull through tangles, which can cause severe hair breakage. This modern design features a flexible, ventilated plastic body that bends as it moves through the hair. The widely spaced bristles gently separate individual strands and move with the curvature of the scalp, allowing you to loosen stubborn knots without snapping the hair shaft. I found this random plastic piece buried at the bottom of my child's toy box. It clearly looks like it is supposed to attach onto something, but I have never seen it before. Does anyone know what it is? It's a removable gear piece from a Playskool Roll and Gears car toy. Manufactured by the prominent American toy company Hasbro, this specific line of toddler toys is designed to teach basic mechanical principles and fine motor skills. The gear has a central peg that snaps into various ports on the main car chassis. When a child places multiple gears in a row, the teeth interlock. Pushing or pulling the car forces the main axle to rotate, which drives the entire sequence of gears simultaneously on the outside of the vehicle. I found this at a nature reserve, lying right on a wooden boardwalk. It looks like a bizarre fuzzy worm or a strange biological growth. What in tarnation is this thing? Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a catkin. A catkin is a slim, cylindrical flower cluster found on trees like willows, birches, and oaks. Instead of having brightly colored petals to attract insects, catkins are designed specifically for wind pollination. The tree drops them in the spring after the pollen has been released into the air. They often fall onto sidewalks and boardwalks in large numbers, looking quite a bit like fuzzy caterpillars. I recently found some white fuzzy mold under my daughter's toy box. But that was not the weirdest part. Some of her stuffed animals had these little reddish-brown stains on them. I even found a fresh stain on her pillow when changing the bedsheets. I started worrying an animal was living in her room, leaving tracks behind. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is actually a rust mark left behind by a wet bobby pin. The stain perfectly matches the distinct, ribbed shape of the pin's metal wire. When carbon steel hair accessories are exposed to moisture, like from a damp towel or a humid room with a mold problem, a chemical reaction called oxidation occurs rapidly. The iron in the bobby pin reacts with oxygen and water, creating iron oxide, which then transfers to fabrics as a stubborn, reddish-brown stain. You can easily remove these marks using a mild acid like white vinegar. This heavy piece of hardware fell off the underside of my brother's 2015 Ram truck, and he is completely stumped. It looks like a thick metal washer attached to a damaged rubber bushing. Does anyone know what it is? It's the bottom half of a body mount. These mounts are critical components that secure a truck's cab and bed to its heavy steel frame. The rubber, or polyurethane bushing, isolates the passenger cabin from structural vibrations and road noise, while the metal cup keeps everything firmly bolted together. When the rubber degrades over time or the central bolt rusts, the bottom section can snap and fall away. Your brother will need to replace this to keep his truck cab properly supported and aligned. What is this massive white box mounted on the back of a sedan? I saw this car driving down the New Jersey Turnpike. It looks almost like a convenience store ice chest strapped to the trunk, complete with a solar panel on the front and visible wiring going straight into the car's interior. Does anyone know what it is? It's a custom-built, insulated, solar-powered micro-camper. To maximize fuel efficiency and avoid buying large vans, many automotive do-it-yourself enthusiasts build these lightweight sleeping pods out of foam insulation boards coated in fiberglass or canvas. The solar panel on the front collects energy while driving to charge an internal battery bank, which powers interior lighting and a small air conditioning unit. The wiring running into the car likely connects the solar charge controller to the vehicle's alternator for supplementary charging on cloudy days. I found this strange pot while digging through a box of my mom's old kitchen supplies. It has a completely flat bottom, is made of heavy-duty metal, and features an unusually wide lip around the top edge. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a double boiler insert, specifically manufactured for West Bend waterless cookware. The West Bend Company, founded in 1911 in Wisconsin, popularized this thick aluminum cookware in the mid-20th century. The wide lip allows this pot to sit securely inside a slightly larger, water-filled base pot. By boiling the water in the bottom pot, steam gently and evenly heats the top insert. This mechanism makes it perfect for melting chocolate or cooking delicate sauces without burning them. These sets from the 1960s are famous for being nearly indestructible. I have had this little doll since I was a kid, along with a long-lost pink version. It wears a metallic suit and has a CPU logo on its chest, but I am wondering about its exact origin story. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as an Intel Bunny People doll. Introduced by the Intel Corporation in 1997, these promotional plush toys were designed to market the Pentium MMX processor. The shiny outfit represents a clean room suit, affectionately called a bunny suit, which technicians wear inside semiconductor fabrication plants to prevent dust and hair from contaminating the microscopic chip architecture. Intel created a highly successful television commercial featuring technicians in these colorful suits dancing to disco music, which immediately spawned a collectible line of these dolls in various colors that remained popular into the early 2000s. I was casually eating a bag of gummy sharks when I pulled this strange one out. The fin has a hard, waxy crust on it. I licked it and it had no flavor, and it easily cracks but won't pull off the gummy. I found this on a few others in the bag too. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is crystallized sugar, the result of a process known as sugar bloom. Gummy candies are primarily composed of gelatin, sugar, and corn syrup. Over time, or if exposed to temperature fluctuations, the moisture content inside the candy changes. This causes the dissolved sucrose to migrate to the surface and recrystallize, forming that hard, waxy outer layer. It is perfectly safe to eat, though it definitely alters the texture of the candy. I spotted this object hanging from the ceiling in a local parks and recreation gymnasium. At first glance, I thought it might be some sort of 360-degree camera for live streaming the basketball court from above. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is an omnidirectional speaker. Unlike traditional directional speakers that project sound in a single forward cone, an omnidirectional model uses carefully engineered acoustic reflectors to disperse audio evenly in a 360-degree radius. This specific suspended design is highly effective in large, echo-prone spaces like gymnasiums or arenas. By pushing sound waves outward in all directions simultaneously, it ensures that announcements and buzzers can be heard clearly by everyone on the floor, regardless of where they are standing. What is this highly detailed toy sword? I am trying to figure out if its design is based on a specific historical weapon, or if it is just a generic fantasy prop made for kids. Does anyone know what it is? It's a replica of Wonder Woman's sword. Specifically, this is modeled after the God Killer sword, introduced in the 2017 DC Extended Universe film franchise. The design features a distinctive sloped hilt, a braided grip, and runic inscriptions running along the base of the blade. Originally, this plastic toy was sold as a complete combat set, meaning you are currently missing the companion shield that came packaged with it in retail stores. I spotted these strange devices mounted on the trunk of a car in traffic. They look like they might be cameras, but there are 4 of them pointed outward at very specific angles. Does anyone know what it is? These devices are known as automated license plate readers, commonly utilized by law enforcement, parking authorities, and repossession agencies. The system uses specialized infrared cameras mounted at various angles to constantly scan surrounding traffic and parked vehicles. They employ optical character recognition software to convert images of license plates into text in a matter of milliseconds. That data is then instantly cross-referenced against a database of stolen vehicles, outstanding warrants, or defaulted auto loans, alerting the driver immediately if there is a positive match. What are these large wooden reservoirs that sit on top of so many high-rise buildings in New York City? They dominate the skyline, but their exact mechanical function is rarely explained. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a gravity-fed rooftop water tank. The municipal water pipes beneath the city only provide enough pressure to push water up about 60 feet, or roughly 6 stories. For buildings taller than this, electric pumps located in the basement must push the water all the way up to these wooden roof tanks. From there, gravity takes over to distribute water down to the individual apartments, ensuring consistent water pressure for everyday use. Many of these tanks are still constructed using untreated cedar or redwood, just as they were over a century ago, because the wood naturally swells to create a perfectly watertight seal. What are these brown, crusty marks scattered across the edge of this wooden desk? They look almost like a disease or a chemical stain eating into the surface. Does anyone know what it is? It's a collection of cigarette burns. These marks occur when a lit cigarette is left resting on the edge of the furniture, allowing the burning ember to char the wood or laminate finish. The heat slowly scorches the material, leaving behind a permanent, crescent-shaped indentation. This was a very common sight on desks and tables manufactured before indoor smoking bans became widespread in the late 20th century. I have been making pour-over coffee lately, using a paper filter on a metal mesh. But I keep finding these weird, mushy, coffee-colored bits at the bottom of my cup. They look exactly like grains of rice. My mom had the same stuff in her tea, but the liquid comes through the filter completely clean, so it is not coffee grounds. Does anyone know what it is? What you found are milk curds. When you pour cold dairy, especially milk that is nearing the end of its shelf life, into a highly acidic and hot liquid like coffee or tea, the sudden change in pH and temperature causes the casein proteins in the milk to coagulate. They clump together rapidly, forming these small, harmless, rice-like blobs at the bottom of your mug. To prevent this chemical reaction, try warming your milk slightly before adding it, or switch to a lower acid coffee roast. I just bought a brand new guitar, and it came with this weird warning label attached to the headstock. It looks like some kind of severe legal disclaimer about toxic chemicals, and I am a bit concerned about playing it now. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a Proposition 65 warning label. Enacted in California in 1986, the Safe Drinking Water and Toxic Enforcement Act requires businesses to provide warnings to consumers about significant exposures to chemicals that cause cancer, birth defects, or other reproductive harm. On electric and acoustic guitars, this label is usually triggered by the presence of certain materials like lead in the electronic solder or specific synthetic chemicals in the clear coat finish. As long as you do not eat your guitar or inhale the sanding dust, it is completely safe to play. I have 4 kids, so I am always finding random things scattered all over my house. This morning, this small metal tool mysteriously appeared on my kitchen counter. The bottom handle part has a slight scoop shape to it, almost like a tiny shovel. Does anyone know what it is? It is a cuticle pusher. Specifically, a standard dual-ended stainless steel manicure tool used for nail care. The scooped end is precisely designed to mirror the natural curve of the human fingernail, allowing the user to gently push back the dead skin of the eponychium, commonly called the cuticle. Modern metal cuticle pushers evolved from orange wood sticks, which were first introduced to the manicure industry in the 1830s by a European foot doctor. Today, they are standard instruments in millions of household cosmetic kits. I just peeled this garlic clove and it came out slightly transparent with a remarkably strong smell of fermented garlic. I bought the head of garlic just a week ago and decided not to cook with this piece. Does anyone know what happened to it? What you found is a clove suffering from a physiological condition called waxy breakdown. This disorder affects garlic during its growth or storage phases and is primarily caused by exposure to high temperatures combined with low oxygen levels. This often occurs during post-harvest curing or when shipped in poorly ventilated containers. The excessive heat disrupts the cellular structure of the garlic, causing the plant tissues to break down and release internal fluids. This chemical breakdown gives the clove its translucent, waxy appearance and distinct, pungent odor. The clove is unappetizing and should be discarded, but the rest of the bulb is usually safe to eat. I poured myself a bowl of Special K red berry cereal and found this strange, dark, solid clump mixed in with the flakes. Fortunately, I spotted it before taking a bite. Does anyone know what it is? It's simply a burnt cornflake, or a cluster of severely overbaked cereal dough. During the mass manufacturing process, cereal dough is rolled, flaked, and sent through large industrial toasting ovens on automated conveyor belts. Occasionally, a piece of dough gets stuck on the belt or jammed in the machinery, exposing it to multiple intense heating cycles. The high temperatures completely carbonize the sugars and starches in the grain, turning it pitch black. While visually alarming, it is a completely harmless byproduct of factory production. What is this strange metal structure featuring heavy chains hanging down into a wire basket, located right in the middle of a public park? Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a disc golf basket, sometimes officially called a pole hole. Disc golf is a flying disc sport that was formalized in the 1970s. The modern chain basket target was invented and patented by Ed Hedrick in 1975. The design relies on simple physics to catch the disc. As a player throws a plastic disc toward the target, the heavy metal chains absorb the kinetic energy of the plastic, stopping its forward momentum and dropping it securely into the lower catching basket. There are now over 10,000 courses worldwide utilizing this specific mechanism. This metal rack was hanging in my utility room when we bought our house in the United Kingdom. We used it to hang our washing basket until I needed the wall space for something else. It was mounted to the wall right around chest height. Does anyone know what it was actually used for? This object is known as a wall-mounted organizer, specifically designed to hold an ironing board and a clothes iron. The two long, angled hooks protruding downward are spaced perfectly to hook into the base or the T-leg of a folded, standard-sized ironing board. The caged section at the top provides a heat-resistant shelf to safely rest the iron itself, often while the metal sole plate is still cooling down. These metal caddies became standard household hardware in the mid-20th century to maximize storage space in small laundry rooms and keep hot appliances safely out of the way. A person was caught on camera scoping out my house in Australia last night and unfortunately stole spare keys from a lockbox. I recognize the logo on their jacket, but I just cannot figure out what brand it is. Can someone help identify it? It's the logo for Hurley. Hurley is a prominent multinational clothing brand primarily focused on surf, skate, and snowboarding apparel. It was founded in 1999 by Bob Hurley in Costa Mesa, California. The logo consists of two stylized letter H characters interlocking with each other. While identifying the jacket might not immediately catch the thief, recognizing the brand can be a helpful detail to pass along to the local authorities. I found these strange skeletal structures scattered in my backyard. I live on the edge of a forest in Europe, and I have never noticed anything like them before. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is the skeletal remains of dead hydrangea flowers. Hydrangeas are popular ornamental shrubs known for their large, globe-shaped flower clusters. When the plant enters dormancy during the winter months, the vibrant petals dry out and decay, leaving behind a delicate network of cellulose veins. This process creates a lacy, almost structural appearance that can look completely alien when detached from the main bush and blown into a yard by the wind. What is this tall, unusual black hat? I saw it being worn in a historical video, and I am trying to figure out its exact purpose. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a kanmuri. It is a traditional Japanese headdress that dates back to the Heian period, which lasted from the year 794 to 1185. Originally adapted from Chinese court headwear, it was worn exclusively by adult men of the imperial court, aristocrats, and high-ranking samurai. The hat is typically made of stiffened black silk and features a distinct vertical pennant or tail attached to the back. While it serves no practical or protective purpose, the specific shape and styling of the kanmuri strictly denoted the wearer's social rank and status within the government. What are these small plastic and metal tools? They were found grouped together in a box of old sewing supplies, but their specific functions are not immediately obvious. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a needle threader and a tatting shuttle. The plastic gadget uses a microscopic wire hook to pull thread through the tiny eye of a sewing needle automatically, while a recessed blade safely cuts the line. The metal piece is a shuttle used for tatting, an early 19th century lace-making technique. The thread is wound inside the shuttle, which the crafter passes back and forth to create a durable chain of intricate knots and loops. I found this unusual piece of furniture in an older hotel in India. It features horizontal bars and two small drawers that swing out along curved arcs. Does anyone know what it is? It's a wooden valet stand, historically referred to as a dumb butler. These clothing stands became popular in the early to mid-20th century to organize men's formal wear overnight. The wide upper frame maintains the shoulder shape of a suit jacket, while the horizontal bars hold trousers securely to prevent creasing. The swinging drawers provide a designated space to store and organize small accessories like cufflinks, pocket squares, and collar stays. I was unpacking my groceries and noticed this strange dry white powder covering just a single strawberry inside a pre-packaged bunch. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as Botrytis cinerea, commonly referred to as gray mold. It is a necrotrophic fungus that frequently affects agricultural crops like strawberries and grapes. The powdery substance you see consists of thousands of microscopic spores, which thrive and spread rapidly in the humid, tightly packed environment of a plastic clamshell container. Once the fungus breaches the skin of the fruit, it deploys enzymes to break down the plant cell walls, extracting nutrients and turning the berry into mush. What is this scary-looking piece of heavy machinery? It looks like a giant rolling pin, covered in heavy, aggressive metal spikes attached to an excavator arm. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a mobile roll-off dumpster compactor. These industrial attachments are frequently used at construction sites and large manufacturing facilities to maximize waste management efficiency. The heavy, spiked metal drum rotates and uses the immense hydraulic pressure of the excavator arm to shred, crush, and smash large pieces of debris. By compacting the trash down, companies can fit significantly more volume into a single roll-off dumpster, drastically reducing the number of expensive hauling trips required to empty it. I just stayed at a hotel at the beach, and the next morning I found this strange burn line on my car's sun visor. The visor was flipped up the entire night, and I have no idea how a burn could have formed inside a locked car. Does anyone know what it is? This is a burn mark caused by reflected and focused sunlight. A highly reflective curved surface, such as a makeup mirror left on the seat or a glass architectural feature on the nearby hotel building, caught the morning sun and concentrated its rays perfectly onto your car's interior. As the Earth rotated and the sun moved across the sky, the intense focal point slowly tracked across your visor, heating the material and melting a precise line directly into the fabric. I was making breakfast when I found this strange, solid brown chunk mixed inside my container of Quaker oatmeal. It is completely hard, shaped slightly like a flat cylinder, and definitely does not look like a normal rolled oat. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a highly compressed clump of oat dust. During the large-scale commercial milling and packaging process, raw oats are rolled, cut, and transported along massive factory conveyor belts. This naturally produces a fine, powdery oat dust. Occasionally, moisture and mechanical pressure within the factory machinery cause this ambient dust to bind together and form a solid mass. It eventually breaks loose from the equipment and falls onto the main packaging line, ending up completely harmless in your breakfast container. What is this small black plastic object? The little black tampon-looking thing actually vibrates when activated, but there are no obvious brand markings or buttons. Does anyone know what it is? It's a vibrating insert, commonly referred to as a bullet vibrator, specifically designed for an adult novelty item. These small electronic components typically house a tiny, offset weight direct current motor powered by a simple watch battery or a small rechargeable lithium-ion cell. When the motor spins, the uneven weight causes the entire casing to oscillate rapidly. Manufacturers often use these modular, waterproof inserts so the main silicone casing of the device can be washed safely without damaging the sensitive electronic components inside. I was cleaning out a closet and found these small metallic items tucked inside the pocket of my Hungarian grandfather's old suit. They feature decorative faces with a small toggling bar on the back. Does anyone know what it is? It's a pair of cufflinks. Cufflinks are pieces of jewelry used to secure the cuffs of dress shirts that lack buttons, traditionally known as French cuffs. The modern toggle-style cufflink, featuring a post and a swiveling torpedo-shaped capsule, was invented by the Boyer Company in 1924, revolutionizing men's fashion by making the accessories incredibly easy to put on with one hand. To use them, the toggle is flipped completely straight to pass through the buttonholes on both sides of the shirt cuff, and then rotated 90 degrees to lock the cuff securely in place. I found this unusual object sticking out of the ground while on a hike. An artificial intelligence app told me it was a spent firework, but it really doesn't look like one to me. Does anyone know what it is? It's a survey marker, specifically a marker nail fitted with plastic bristles. also known in the industry as a whisker marker. These are driven into the ground by land surveyors to mark property corners, utility lines, or grading points. The brightly colored plastic bristles are designed to spring back up if stepped on or driven over, keeping the exact point highly visible in tall grass or dirt. They are much more reliable than wooden stakes and can survive harsh outdoor conditions for years. A buddy of mine found these small red rings. They are made of anodized aluminum and have a very specific circular shape with multiple holes. Any idea what they are used for? This object is known as a guy line cord adjuster, a piece of hardware specifically used for tent camping and backpacking. When setting up a tarp or tent, these aluminum buckles let you quickly adjust the tension of your wind ropes without tying complex knots. You thread the paracord through the distinct holes, which creates mechanical friction to lock the rope tightly in place. Because they are forged from lightweight anodized aluminum, they are incredibly strong and resistant to rust, making them an essential part of outdoor survival kits. I found this tiny metal loop on the floor while walking through a clothing store. It is completely metal and stretches almost like a hair tie, but it has a sharp, coiled texture. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a sensory fidget ring, sometimes marketed as an acupressure massage ring. It is manufactured by taking a triangular-shaped wire and coiling it tightly into a continuous, flexible loop. Originally based on traditional acupressure concepts, the user rolls the ring up and down their fingers. The woven metal points gently stimulate the nerve endings in the skin, which helps improve focus and relieve anxiety. Today, they are widely used as discrete sensory tools for occupational therapy. I found this very strange, misshapen object inside my standard carton of eggs from the grocery store. It is completely wrinkled and elongated instead of having a smooth oval shell. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a corrugated egg. It is simply a malformed chicken egg. Sometimes chickens lay funny-looking eggs with wrinkled, bumpy, or soft shells. This mechanical disruption in the shell gland happens most frequently with young hens that have just started laying, or older chickens experiencing physical stress or a calcium imbalance. Despite the strange, textured exterior, the yolk and egg white inside are perfectly normal and taste exactly the same as a standard commercial egg. I have had these small, bright red marks on my skin since I was 9 years old. They do not hurt, but I have never been able to figure out exactly what they are. Does anyone know what it is? It's a cherry angioma, also known in dermatology as Campbell-De Morgan spots. These are common, benign skin growths made up of a dense cluster of blood vessels, which gives them their bright reddish appearance. They occur when the microscopic venules in the skin expand and cluster together at the surface. While they are completely harmless and do not require medical treatment, they are incredibly common to develop as you age. I woke up with this random, bright red mark on my arm. I know I did not get pinched or hit against anything, but it looks exactly like a concentrated dot of blood under the skin. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a cherry angioma. Despite appearing suddenly like a blood blister or a physical pinch mark, it is actually a harmless, benign tumor consisting of small capillaries grouped together at the surface of the epidermis. They can erupt spontaneously on the torso or arms and vary in size from a tiny pinpoint to about 1/4 of an inch in diameter. Because they are just concentrated bundles of blood vessels, they will bleed profusely if scratched or punctured, but they are otherwise totally safe to leave alone. I was exploring Street View and came across this bizarre, seemingly out-of-place picture right in the middle of a map. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a user-uploaded image on Google Maps. Because the platform relies heavily on crowdsourced data to keep local businesses and landscapes updated, Google allows users to upload their own photos and 360-degree photospheres. In the past, the moderation tools were much more relaxed, meaning users could essentially upload anything to any coordinate location. This led to strange anomalies, memes, or completely unrelated pictures appearing in the middle of oceans or deserts. Google has since tightened their restrictions, but many of these old uploaded images remain scattered across the virtual globe. Which of these items surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments. For more unknown items, check out the other videos on our channel. Hit like and subscribe.